and we went and saw Voyagers, the new release from Neil Berger. And Zach, we're going to go to you first to talk to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I want to hear Adam.
Okay.
Let's go to Adam.
All right, we're going to go to Adam first then. Adam, tell us.
Wow, man. Okay.
He mentioned it on Twitter. He's calling out this movie already. He's got to defend himself.
Okay.
And I want to hear about his experience.
All right.
Okay.
So Adam, you're first then. Tell us about your film going experience on Voyagers.
Okay.
Wait, what
Voyager.
his dog thought too.
Yeah, my dog. Yeah. All right. Okay. So yeah, I did go see Freaky like before everything closed down. COVID happened last year, shut down everything. Then they opened up for like a couple months, like a month or two. We went to see Freaky, and then we hadn't been back since. So this is the first time this year, and I was happy. I will say this, that it was nice to be back at the movies. We got, we had a really cool, awesome Wonder Woman popcorn tin. Look at this thing. This thing's beautiful, right?
That's sweet.
So, that's way better than the movie. Anyway, so you guys had an option to watch Thunder Force on Netflix or Voyagers in the theater. And, we looked at the trailer before we went because we really didn't know anything about it. And the trailer looked fantastic. It had, we saw Colin Farrell in it. And we're like, oh, Tye Sheridan from Ready Player One. He's in also X-Men, I was like, isn't that Johnny Depp's daughter? She's in this one. And we were kind of excited and going back to the movie theater and, got our snacks, went into the seat. And before I get too more into my thoughts on it, if you guys didn't know, Voyagers was directed by Neil Berger, also written by him. And it's by a crew of astronauts of a multi-generational mission descending into paranoia and madness, not knowing what is real or not. That's a really bad description on IMDb. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, my thoughts about this film is that it has had promise in the opening couple minutes, and then it kind of slowly just became a really dull and boring film that it has grander dreams of being a better movie than it actually pays off for me. The performances were pretty kind of just drama-y filled, really just kind of not really there for me. The best actor performance here is probably Colin Farrell, but he also has the most experience in front of the camera being good and even in bad movies. So he is decent in this one anyway. But Tye Sheridan, I've quickly realized as I was watching, he's good for making one face, and it's this with his eyebrows. He's like kind of grimace with his face. That's pretty much what he does in every single movie now. And I don't know. There's something about this film that it was just boring. I did not find really anything that I kind of really liked about it. The score was kind of fine. Some of the visuals were okay. And the set design was pretty much the same thing, just rehashed over and over again. And the neon lights were also kind of cool. But that couldn't trick me into liking this movie. I'd rather watch Thunder Force. And that's what I said on Twitter that Zach was alluding to, was that I would rather watch Thunder Force on Netflix again than watch another minute of this movie. Because my wife and I walked out and were like, what the hell did we just watch? It was basically just an excuse for the director to watch these teenagers kind of have an out-of-body experience, or maybe an in-body experience, to be super like a horny expedition to space. That's what it kind of felt like to me. And it was, God dang. I don't know. We just kind of looked at each other like, well, we're back at the movies. Can't get, we picked the wrong one to go to, but we were here and we enjoyed the experience, not the movie so much, but the popcorn was dang good. I can definitely tell you that. So there's my quick thoughts on Voyagers.
So what's your rating on this one?
0.5.
0.5. 0.5. And is a 0.5 for the popcorn?
That also this tin.
Yeah. Okay. The tin gave it.
Look at that color. You can't beat this color here. Look at this color.
Well, that color is worth another half star. I think it needs to be 1 star.
No. The color's not that good.
All right. Well, Zach,
can I go last?
Let's go last. Let's go last.
Yeah, he doesn't have an opinion. He's gonna make it whatever.
He's gonna end up liking it because.
All right. Todd, how about you go next?
Okay, I mean, this movie's not as bad as Adam's making it seem like. One thing that stood out to me was obviously the math is really messed up here. Like it says that it takes 86 years to get there, and their grandkids are going to be the ones that land. But I mean, they're only like 10 when they start this thing, so obviously some of them are still going to be alive. Their kids are obviously going to be alive, a lot of them, especially when it's like a nutrition centric and controlled environment. That was kind of weird, but I mean, I don't know. The acting's kind of fine. I kind of miss this like old movie star leading man Colin Farrell, like a brooding Colin Farrell. He's really good in this, and we haven't seen him act like this in quite a while. Tye Sheridan, I love in everything, but he's too cool for that role. Like, you need someone who's less convincing as like a potential badass. Like 5 years ago, this would have been like a really interesting movie with Anton Yelchin and Olivia Cooke, which I think would have fit it a lot more than Lily Rose Depp and Tye Sheridan. And Fionn Whitehead, he's sufficient, but it's apparent from the first moment you see him that he's the bad guy. Like, he looks like young Dougray Scott. Like, it's like, yep, there's the bad guy. But Neil Brooker is a really, really good filmmaker. But unfortunately, this trails more to his like Divergent era of filmmaking than it does anything else. Like, from the director of The Illusionist, it's kind of a disappointment. The premise, I think, is kind of ingenious, but it needed like a screenwriter, someone more polished that could foster the believability of the script and like make the story kind of actually legible. It's way too like YA and not enough like mind-bending creativity stuff. There was a little bit of that, but not enough. And also, you'd think that the mission leaders would have questioned at some point whether it was a good idea to send 30 children by themselves into space. So when Richard, the Colin Farrell character, has his like volunteering thing, it just rang false to me. It was kind of dumb. And plus, if there's like one bad seed in the 30, then there's obviously going to be some for multiple generations. But they make the future kind of seem really idyllic, which is odd. I did really like the production design in it. It was probably a pretty small set, but it made it seem pretty expansive and real. That alone made it not drag for me. Like it actually kind of flies by. Adam was way wrong on that, but the movie kind of gets weird and dumb once Richard goes away from the story. There's obviously a lot of Lord of the Flies type chaos going on. There's a little of The Fountain and a little of like Ender's Game, but I'm not sure any of those are necessarily the right way to go. It has a lot of things going for it, but I don't think the movie can actually get out of its own way, but I did sort of like it, so I'm giving it 2 stars.
All right. Yeah, I'll go next. I'm pretty much right with Todd. I thought it had my interest for the whole time, but I wasn't necessarily entertained by it the whole time. There were definitely things that I was like, okay, that was a weird spot for the story to go, and that was not very good dialogue. But it had me entertained. Looking at the cast, this is like a great cast of young actors too. I mean, Tye Sheridan has definitely been in some stuff. Fionn Whitehead headed up Dunkirk. You have Brandon Stark himself in here, Isaac Hempstead Wright, Archie Madekwe. I remember seeing him. Oh, what was he in? He was in something. What was he in? He was in Midsummer. Yeah. You've got these guys who have shown that they've got some acting chops, and then of course you have Lily Rose Depp, who all I could think of looking at her was she has her dad's eyes. Like that just was like creepy. Just watching her stare longingly at Tye Sheridan. I'm like, yeah, those are Johnny Depp's eyes. Kind of in a similar way, Todd still thinks I'm crazy, but Paul Sorvino and Mira Sorvino have the exact same eyes, and it's kind of creepy. Anyways, yeah, I was interested by it. I came home and I looked at my wife, and when she asked how it was, and I said it's Lord of the Flies in space. That's really what it is. I will say the last scene, like the climactic scene, it is like the worst like space reality moment in any movie in space ever. I mean, it just the way the way it handles that, like, there's no way. I'll just say this: there's no way that should have gone on for an extra 45 seconds. It was done. It was done. But it wasn't. But yeah, I'm giving it 2 stars. It was fine. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I was entertained by it for the most part. I agree with Todd that it was a little too YA at times. Yet not also at the same time. Like, I saw this film almost got an R rating, but and yeah. Anyways, those are my thoughts. 2 stars. So we have Adam saying it is one of the worst movies he's ever seen. Todd and I are saying, it's not that bad.
But it's not one of the worst movies ever, but
You gave it a half star.
I was. But
And you said the half star was for the popcorn.
Yeah, that's true. But hey, you're spot on about that ending. I'm like, I hope they never actually show that they actually get to that planet, and they did. And I was like, really?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't even that. Now that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about like the final showdown between Christopher and Zach.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That was bad in so many ways. For a space junkie like me, that was just bad. All right, Zach, you've been waiting, you've been listening. What are your thoughts?
3.5.
27% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's a terrible score because this is a good movie. And let me tell you why it's a good movie. People are getting sidetracked by the fact that I'm actually going to completely disagree with something that Terry said. People are getting sidetracked by the fact that, frankly, this movie is poorly acted. Okay, I was not impressed by any of the performances in it, with the exception of Colin Farrell. I feel like particularly Fionn Whitehead, is that his name, as Zach? I mean, he looks like Jonathan Landis, Ryder Strong, early 90s, like, badass, rebel kid. It really didn't like it. I felt like Lily Rose Depp, I don't know, needed a booster shot of B12 or something. And Tye Sheridan was doing his best, like, young James Kirk impersonation, but it just didn't work.
Hold on. I will say, I didn't say it was great acting. I just said it was notable actors.
Well, we could actually recast The Departed as these actors if you really think about it. But anyway, I like this movie. I don't know. I don't understand the hate behind it. I think it has a really great premise. Okay, yeah, it's a little Lord of the Flies, but so what? I mean, there's been other stuff that's Lord of the Flies. No one had any problem with that. I feel like this movie is inventive. I think it's realistic in the way that these characters start the movie so heavily sedated because of the blue liquid that they're drinking, and then they start to question, the authority of the Colin Farrell character, who himself also doesn't have all the authority, on this ship, which I think is really interesting. I think what I like about it is that it doesn't need to explain every little detail, because the movie is fundamentally more of a character study than anything else, even though it's poorly acted. But the characters themselves are kind of interesting, realistic. I wish, if I had another criticism of the movie, I wish that they had gone outside the Sela, Zach, and Christopher kind of trio. Those are the only three characters we really learn anything about. It would have been nice to see some of the other characters in a little bit more depth. But no, this movie had me really interested. I was not bored by it at all. It does feel like a slightly longer movie. I like that it doesn't really have to resort to violence until the end of the movie. I mean, yeah, okay, the climactic battle scene, it's somewhat obligatory and expected, but actually I thought it was pretty well done for the most part. I agree with Todd's point that it has really interesting production design. This ship, I think, looks really unique. I don't think I've seen quite another ship that looks like the way it does. I think there's some questions about whether there is some sort of extraterrestrial force on the exterior of the ship. I thought that was really intriguing. And then, of course, this whole dynamic of, Piggy and Lord of the Flies, I bought it. I thought it was really captivating for the most part. I agree that I think it's more Adam's point. I agree that the last, 45 seconds of this movie is kind of lame. I wish it had kind of just ended with that, really cool push forward shot. I think visually, Neil Berger does a lot of cool things in this movie. I like the insert shots of, the flowers. They're like Darren Aronofsky in Requiem for a Dream. They're like these insert shots that are meant to reflect, flowers blooming and water pouring out. And I thought that was cool. I don't know. I don't know what people don't like about this movie. I think it was perfectly fine. It's a solid 3-star movie. I want to give it 3.5 just to say screw y'all, but it's not really that great of a movie. But I enjoyed myself. No problem whatsoever with this movie, except for the acting. The acting is very YA. It feels like they probably shouldn't have gone to actors who look like they should be on the CW. I guarantee you that if Timothée Chalamet had been in this movie and Florence Pugh, this would be getting thumbs up. Okay, it's just the acting is just a little heavy-handed. And Adam is so disgusted that he felt the need to leave.
He just walked out. He left. He left.
Wait, did you say Timothy Chalamet? Yeah, that's a 3-star movie at least.
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet with Florence Pugh. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I actually agree with a lot of what you said, Zach. I really wanted to like this movie, and like I said, I was interested by it. I feel like this is kind of in a similar category to me as Passengers, that Chris Pratt Jennifer Lawrence movie,
This is better
where
than Passengers.
it wasn't a great movie, but it's extremely watchable. And like I could sit down and I could rewatch Passengers any day, and I feel like I could sit down and rewatch Voyagers any day, knowing it's kind of this just like awesomely bad movie, and just know that you're not, if you know what you're getting into, you'll be fine. That's kind of, I was kind of in a similar boat as you. I just took the drawbacks a little more seriously.
I want to know what was in Adam's popcorn. That's the real question.
You want to know?
See,
huh?
this must be what happened. He had the exact same experience with Voyagers that you had with Nobody.
Oh, Nobody's terrible.
Where you went back to the theater
That's
for
trash.
the first time, and you sit down in that movie theater and you say, "Wait, I came back for this?"
No, it was the second time I'd been to theater. I saw The Father first, and
Oh, okay. Well, then that gave
Nobody's
you
just a terrible
ridiculous,
movie.
unrealistic expectations of what you were going to expect from the theater. No, yeah, I think that's what it was. You were like, I came back to the theater for this, and Adam's kind of in a similar boat. I came back to the theater for this. Like, we were even joking that Voyagers, you were either going to say it was a 4-star masterpiece, or you were going to give it 1 star and say it was the worst movie ever made because you had to waste money on it. And now you're giving it
a
3.
higher rating if it didn't have the same Rotten Tomato score as Hillbilly Elegy, so he had to go with the same score.
Yeah, I mean, that's, if you're gonna psychoanalyze me, Vera Farmiga, then you should be looking at the fact that I'm looking at that 27% score and thinking, what are these critics are being way too harsh for this movie? Let's get realistic. When you have Nobody at like an 80%, I mean, come on, get real.
That does seem low.
Yeah,
that does seem low.
and it's for stupid reasons too. I mean, it's for reasons that, if you're going to criticize the movie for, being YA, that's the actor's fault. The movie itself is pretty good. You got at some point you got to decide, is the acting going to bother you that much to let it impact your assessment of the movie? For me, it didn't bother me. I just kind of moved on. I thought it was more interesting than the acting.
I can go with
But I also
that.
thought the script was kind of not that great either. So the actors didn't have anything to work with. So their performances kind of reflect what the script was.
What was wrong with the script? It had a great. I think we can all agree it had a great premise. I think
The concept was better than the dialogue.
Unpredictable.
The concept was definitely better than the dialogue. Yes.
The dialogue is because the actors, man, they need more.
They
energy.
don't write the dialogue.
They need more energy. They weren't taking enough of the blue shit. But that's maybe their interpretation of the role.
If this is what this podcast is going to be, I'm going to need another one of these things. So.
All right. Well, we've got Adam with a 0.5 star. We've got Todd and I with 2 stars. Zach's at 3. It's in theaters right now. I was gonna say it might not be in theaters very long because nobody went to see it, but at the same time, nothing else is really coming out, so it might be in the theaters for a while.